Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market.
Hey, my name's Leon Hitchens. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Social Market.
And this is Social Ledger Report, our podcast where we talk about the last week's biggest stories on crypto, finance, and anything in between. This week we have actually some pretty big bangers. First, ZZ came back to Binance. Well, that was last week, but a lot happened this week. Probably the best week that Binance has had out of the year. And then MetaMask, there's more details on its token launch. We covered that last week, but things have unfolded, and there's a couple of things we can talk about that. And then next, we'll talk about Park showcasing prediction markets like Polymarket and Kalshi. Not fully crypto, but it's a little bit in between, so I think it's going to be a fun one to cover. And then crypto taxes are shifting across the world. Some countries are also lowering their taxes, or just how much you are supposed to pay. Leon will talk more about that here in a moment. But before we continue, just make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. It helps us keep creating content for you and stay afloat. Also, a bit of an announcement here. We started a new channel where we're going to be exclusively uploading our segmented videos while keeping the main video podcast on the Boost channel. You can go to theboost.fm. Is that it, Leon?
Yeah, it's the Boost.fm, the
Yeah,
the classic SpongeBob
for real.
theboost.fm/social ledger.
Yeah, so you go there and give us a like. Check us out on YouTube, podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. But anyways, so if this is your first time tuning in, we usually showcase what's happening in the markets. We use the Social Market app. This podcast is sponsored by the Social Market app. So in market overview here, we can see that altcoin season is still right about mixed market and altcoin. I think it was last week or it was right about altcoin season. So it's pretty much the overview. Fear and greed index, it's at all-time low of 33 as of the beginning of this podcast earlier this year. This is the first time we're seeing it at this pretty low index. And then inflation is still right about 3%. If you're tuning in to this podcast with Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'll tell you the price of gold. It's at $3,748. Invesco QQQ is at $595. DIA Dow Jones, it's at 462, and the S&P 500 is at 6,643. And the S&P 500 is actually breaking all-time highs this year, so that's pretty exciting. So that's kind of the state of the markets this week. Do you have any thoughts?
Nothing on that part. I think the part that I'm mostly seeing here too is that fear and greed index, 33 for fear. I think that's the first time that we've seen it at a fear index for the market since we've started the show. There's been some shifts and changes throughout the year just because tariffs and the unpredictability of what the administration was going to do and when they were going to do it and at what pace they're going to do it was always kind of causing the markets to up and down and generally go in the right direction. But I'm again not financial advice, but I'm not too worried about a 33 in the fear. You have Eric Trump, you have Donald Trump, you have all JD Vance tweeting about like keeping buying crypto. Crypto's going to be great. Like the regulatory clarity is here. There's maps adoptions and IPOs are just crushing it when they're hitting the market. I'm not too worried about a little bit of fear in the market right now. You've got possibility of war. You've got military action with Venezuela. There's a lot of civil unrest in the United States. So there's a lot going on that can really influence that fear index. But I think most of it's probably just around Venezuela and these new tariffs that were announced.
Yeah, 100%. Tariffs are never fun. And I feel like we've been kind of like the middle child of the parents divorcing between fighting over tariffs. Well, anyways, Bitcoin right now is sitting at $109,000, and in the last 24 hours, it's seen an uptick of 14.14%. And Ethereum is at $4,009, and almost no change from the last 24 hours. So that's pretty much the state of the markets. Now, as far as our first story, Binance. So, like I said, it probably had its best week in all of 2025. So in the last week, we actually saw an all-time high of about $1,079, or about $1,080 almost. And the reason why is because, if in case you saw this last week, CZ came back. He got out of jail like what, like almost a year ago. And,
Yeah,
he's,
almost a year exactly, I feel like.
yeah, yeah. So I know he was in jail in 2024 for about a few months. And then he got out and then he joined back Binance. And it kind of took a while for him to join back Binance. But, on Twitter, which I should actually open it up. Okay, yeah, so on Twitter, that's where he added his at Binance handle on Twitter. And that kind of exploded the market for Binance and a couple other things, which I'll go over here, which is why it reached $1,000. Well, anyways, this is from Binance Square, the report here, and this is from September 17th. It says, breaking, CZ strong return to Binance, question mark. BNB Treasury's trillion yuan plan exposed and price hits historic high of $1,000. So it's a pretty long and detailed report. You can look at it if you want. We'll leave the link in the description. So the 3 points that I want to cover are, as CZ outlined support for his increasing institutional interest, the financial plan for BNB gained traction. And then reportedly, amid the possibility of the Department of Justice lifting compliance restrictions, speculation about his return to Binance has intensified after ZZ reverted the X profile back to at Binance. So that's kind of what I mentioned. Like, he added back the handle of Binance in his handle. So, everybody was losing their minds. And then last week, BNB price reached a historic high of $962. And analysts predict the price will soar to $1,000 as investors refocus. And as of a week later, it reached a new all-time high of $1,080, or 79 if you will. That's probably, Binance is already pretty popular around the world. It's used where, if not in the US as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 4 years we see Binance finally being able to have its presence in the US. But that's kind of like the biggest news for Binance. But second thing that I want to cover here is Aster. Now, a lot of you may not be as active on Binance or don't even know what Aster is. I just learned about it this week. But for those of you who don't know, you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of read this on your own. But if you're tuning in on audio, Aster, the complete guide to decentralized perpetual exchange. This link is from CoinGecko. And they kind of give you an overview here. Aster is a decentralized exchange offering spot and perpetual tradings of crypto and stock derivatives. It's kind of a mouthful word. With up to 1001x leverage across multiple blockchains. So there's 3 key points about this DEX, why it's different than, like, say, Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap, you name it. I think PancakeSwap is mostly used in Binance. I've used it before. I don't use Binance as much, but I use mostly like Solana and Ethereum. Well, anyways, what makes Aster different, it's by these three key points. So the first one, yield-bearing collateral. Users earn passive income on their collateral through as BNB, liquid staking tokens, and USDF stablecoin while actively trading. So to me, what it means is if you used Polymarket before and you have like a long-term position on a bet on a prediction market, you could actually earn passive income sort of thing where it will pay dividends just by holding that position. Now, not financial advice, but what I often do is I will hold that position, and then if I feel like my outcome will not pay itself, I just withdraw. So we can probably see similar activity happening by this feature. The second one, explosive growth. The Aster token surged over 1,500% after launch, which is backed by YZI Labs and endorsed by ZZ himself and Mr. Beast's $114,000 purchase. So right now, the Aster token is at about $1.94 as of recording of this podcast. But in September 19th, it was sitting at about 87 cents and a volume of 615 million. Now, its all-time high was in September 24th. Its price reached $2.31 and had a volume of 2.43 billion. So right now, it's at $1.24 billion volume. So we've seen, almost $1 billion in volume decrease from all the hype. Well, anyways, its last key feature for Aster as a DEX is There's more privacy here, or key features are hidden orders for privacy, dual trading modes such as Simple and Pro, and multi-chain support across BNB chain, Ethereum, Solana, and Arbitrum. So Ethereum is a layer 1, Solana is a layer 1, BNB is a layer 1, and Arbitrum is a layer 2. So what's interesting about that is while they have their own networks, they all have their own tokens. So what this means is you can probably trade Binance-based tokens to Solana-based tokens, and you don't have to pay as much in fees if you had to sell it in Coinbase and then transfer that money to another platform where you can buy a particular BNB token sort of thing. So that's kind of like the utility behind it. I'm actually bullish on Aster given everything. I'm probably going to add some Aster to my portfolio. I don't know if it's available on Coinbase for you to just buy it off directly, but what people will often do is they will use these decentralized exchanges like Aster, and they'll swap their USDC or even USDT for Aster. That's kind of like the state of everything right now with Aster and with Binance. One more thing
I
I'll
don't know
say
where
though.
you can buy it. I was actually, while you were talking, I was trying to connect my wallet to Aster and see.
Okay.
I know they have an airdrop going on. I think you have to participate in something to like get that airdrop. I've never quite been able to catch airdrops fully, but it's kind of interesting. Like, you've got CZ's return. He committed a lot of crimes in the United States on just like regulation points, but his come to is like being called like Binance's golden era. I
Yep.
think he will push a lot of innovation and expansion. But that Aster Dex like token, it's interesting that it's like Binance ecosystem integration. It's also like kind of just pushing in there of like speculation that Binance may list Aster soon. I don't think there's anywhere you can buy it at the moment except like through Aster or like those swaps in there. There's a lot of liquidity incentives like early on right now. I'm just like reading through it and I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it's just kind of showing Binance is back. It's leading a new bull narrative, and Aster's also centralized and decentralized products can like rise together under that Binance umbrella. It's kind of cool to see all of that happening together.
Well, first, I think I would try connecting to a VPN, connecting to another place around the world. Outside of the US, I think like anywhere in Europe, it should work. As far as using Binance, and if there's like an IP restriction with Aster, try checking PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is really good with Binance-based tokens, or even Orca. I think Orca has its
Yeah, I
own
would have to
decentralized
probably do
exchange.
something like that.
Yeah, so I'm just telling you what I would do, not financial advice. That's what I would probably do after this to get some Aster tokens. Well, anyways, so one more thing I'll talk about this matter is right before we started this podcast, Leon, I was on Twitter and I joined this room where you can like talk to people, and they were talking about Aster, and ZZ himself actually joined there and he was answering questions from like the community. So one, that's amazing. Two, this post from Doc Wando, which is, books. This person made this post said, ZZ from Binance just set the bar so high for all central exchanges / DEX founders, blockchain founders, and founders leaders in general. Not only did he join the Aster community on Spaces, okay, so it's called Spaces, that's what I forgot, but he's answering questions and educating us ahead on this type of leader, ZZ Binance. That was kind of a mouthful post. Anyways, so I was there for like a minute, and I wasn't able to speak. You had to raise your hand before you could join and talk. But ZZ, if I remember correctly, he was just kind of telling people at the point that I joined, he was just telling people like how it's supposed to work. Aster itself is supposed to let you do different things more than just being a decentralized exchange where you can just swap tokens like you could with a unit swap or something. When he was talking about perpetuities, that means in a hidden manner, it means you just don't have an order book that tells you this address made this purchase or this sell at X timestamp. It simply is supposed to show you like, I think there is supposed to show you like a hidden type of order book, but you just can't associate the address with it. So it's kind of like Monero, where if you're familiar with Monero, you can make transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Monero, you can make transactions on the blockchain where it's normally supposed to be pretty visible. You can track wallets, but you just don't have that functionality where you cannot track wallets. So Monero is private like that, and I think Aster is trying to follow suit as well. And ZZ a long time ago on Twitter made a comment saying that order books are pretty exploitable because someone is trying to buy a position, other people will follow suit, like kind of like tracking insider trading sort of thing. I can see the value behind it, but that's as far as I know and as far as he told us while I was in that room. So it was pretty interesting to be there and actually hear out ZZ himself. So that was pretty cool experience. But yeah, other than that, I think this is pretty much all I wanted to cover as far as ZZ and Binance biggest week out of the year. Pretty exciting stuff. I would keep an eye out on Aster. That would be my only advice and suggestion on people. Like keep an eye on it, track it, name it. If you want to purchase the token, that's up to you. Moving on. So next, there's some unfoldings with the MetaMask token that has been highly rumored. Last week we talked about MetaMask, and we were kind of talking about their proposition on releasing a token. There's been a small development on that story. So this is Polymarket, and the first thing that unfolded was that they actually released a market. Will MetaMask launch a token in 2025? Right now, it's sitting at about 43% chance that it will, but the all-time high of September 24th, which was last week or this week, was like at 61%, 64%, the all-time high. So if we make some market context here, this is powered by Grok from Twitter. So this is what Grok is saying as far as generating context for this market. It says, recent news from the past week indicates growing anticipation for a MetaMask token that will launch in 2025, which will potentially shift the odds from current no, which leads at 57.5% on September 25. Reports highlighted Consensus CEO Joe Lubin, which, by the way, he's actually the co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin, stating the launch could happen very soon, fueling speculation. Additional updates suggest a possible October launch. Though no official date is confirmed, social media buzz on platforms like X also reflects the heightened excitement and airdrops rumored among users. These developments could sway market sentiment towards yes, though uncertainty remains without an official announcement from MetaMask. So there's a lot of rumors, which is why we're seeing an explosive yes, and then it's kind of back to no, leaning more on the no than on the yes. So the rumors this week are that the co-founder of Ethereum, who's also the CEO of Consensus, Joe Lubin, he was saying that, they're looking at an October launch. It's not official from MetaMask, so it's not fully confirmed. But because Consensus is the parent company of MetaMask, I would not dismiss this either. This is a little bit suspicious, and I think that it is very possible that next month we could see that token come out. I would put my money, if I had to bet in this Polymarket, dude, I would put my money on yes. Just because I think that the launch could happen this year. I don't know about September or October though, but I could see it very likely happening this year. Not financial advice,
Yeah,
but that's where
I
would put
could
my
see it
money
this
on.
year 100%. Like, they're not going to do all of this to kind of do it. I
Yep.
think the airdrop is probably going to be what happens this year. Just like Uniswap's like famous airdrop, like I could see that where they kind of like reward MetaMask users, DeFi participants, any app developers kind of use it as a way to push all of that.
Yep.
This could also be like one of the largest token distributions in history. There's, I think, 30 or 40 million MetaMask wallets out there, and this is a huge thing. It's also like a decentralized wallet governance can happen here. Staking, fee sharing, all of that could help push MetaMask as like the go-to wallet out there for it. It's really gonna push a new governance era in Web3 if they execute on this token right.
It's pretty exciting. I never thought MetaMask would launch a token, if I'm being honest, but I would trust MetaMask token more than Aster token. Now that we just recently talked about Aster, just because MetaMask is more reputable. It's based on Ethereum. Like MetaMask for a long time has serviced the Ethereum network for tokens there. It's more established. It's more trustful. I mean, the fucking parent company, who is also the co-founder of Ethereum, is, in a way backing up MetaMask. So I would trust this token more than anything, if I'm being honest. So there's this story from AI Invest, and its headline reads: MetaMask token coming very soon. Airdrop season begins. So kind of going back to airdrop season, I think the last time we saw it was like 2021, where a lot of tokens on Ethereum and Solana even were starting to do airdrops. That's generally how people make a lot of decent money through airdrops. So I wouldn't dismiss this at all because it's basically free money. Not financial advice, but airdrops are a pretty good opportunity. So the MetaMask co-founder, Joe Lubin, I think it's interesting that he is labeled as the co-founder. Well, anyways, Joe Lubin confirmed that MetaMask token is coming very soon. Other major protocols including OpenSea, Base, Pump.fun, Meteora. Meteora is a decentralized exchange from Solana, and Polymarket are also expected to drop tokens in coming months. Airdrop season is approaching, with free tokens potentially being distributed to users. MetaMask co-founder Joe Lubin has confirmed that the MetaMask token codename is Mask is imminent, stating that it could arrive sooner than expected. This announcement follows years of speculation about a native token for the popular Ethereum wallet, which boasts over 30 million monthly active users. First of all, I didn't realize it was that many people who were using MetaMask, but that's amazing. The Mask token is expected to support decentralization, governance, and user rewards, further enhancing MetaMask's ecosystem. Lubin emphasized the decentralized aspect of the platform is a strategic priority. The token could launch on MetaMask Linea network, a zero-knowledge roll-up layer 2 blockchain which is fully EVM compatible. EVM is Ethereum Virtual Machine. It's pretty cool actually. I'm pretty excited about this. I still believe it could come out this year. There's no way they are making all these announcements and for it all to just not happen this year. I know Base was also talking about exploring a token that would be launched. They didn't say anything about releasing it when or soon. They were just exploring the utility or logistics of having a token. Pump.fun did release its own token this year. Polymarket hasn't, and OpenSea, I've only heard rumors. I've seen people talk about it, speculate on it, but nothing solid. So I would only consider MetaMask, Base, Pump.fun as, and maybe Meteora. I don't really follow Meteora that much. I would consider at least those out of all the list here that are in the realm of possibility. That was an interesting development from MetaMask. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover about MetaMask. So on to the next topic. So South Park announced prediction markets, or had this. If you're following the lore with the latest season, Trump and Satan had a child or expecting a child, and they were in the South Park episode. They were kind of talking about, oh hey, is this gonna be a boy or a girl? And then Polymarket saw it, and then they now made their own Polymarket about it, which is kind of fun and it's pretty interesting.
So meta.
So, dude, it really is so meta. I know if you've been on X all week, at least I was. I saw that Kalshi and Polymarket were kind of glazing the fact that South Park announced them or were talking about them, which is kind of like, oh, you've made it if South Park talks about you, which is kind of interesting, kind of funny. Man, I want to bet on this market just for the shits and giggles, but I really don't know what the writers are going to do.
Yeah, let's watch the Polymarket clip right now. I just really like it, and I think it's kind of funny.
Number one trending bet on the apps. Will President Trump and Satan's baby be a boy or a girl? Bettors on Polymarket are at nearly 60%. The demonic butt baby's gonna be a girl. Number one trending bet.
I just,
That's so
it's
funny.
so well done. It's also kind of pushing into mainstream culture that this is a mainstream culture movement at the moment. Prediction markets are becoming
Yeah.
something, and it's not just Kalshi. Like I saw Kalshi think that this prediction market stuff was going to be them, but it ended up being Polymarket, and I think huge win for Polymarket in the end because they're the ones who's really setting the tone for everything. I think they've done a really good job of marketing their stuff overall, and the fact that South Park
Yeah.
is not only poking fun at them but including them is it's a big cultural moment for them. It's crypto is becoming mainstream, and it does lean in a little bit to the crypto bro culture that is there, but also it's nice that everyone can be made fun of and talk about because even Polymarket has been tweeting about it nonstop of just like what's going on, and it's like any markets on this, they're called poly markets.
Yeah, as you can see on Polymarket's handle, that moment on the episode is now in their banner. So that's pretty fun. And
It's
also
just
with
a
Kalshi,
great cultural movement.
it really is. So if I look at Kalshi as well, it's there as well. Although I think that one's edited, so I don't know. Funny enough, did you know that
Yeah.
YC is backing Kalshi as of 2019? I don't know if you knew that.
That's really interesting. I guess it makes sense. I just, from like a perspective of like actual like Web3, Kalshi is just they're just a betting platform. Nothing quite
Yeah.
unique to that. It makes
New
sense
for the time.
to back them.
I didn't know about prediction markets until last year, so I was pretty late into the game. Well, anyways,
Yeah, I bet on like presidential elections like in 2018 time, 2019. Like I've done prediction markets a little bit for a while. It's just that they got renamed from like betting on like real world stuff to prediction. I don't know
yeah,
when that twist happened, but that's a big one.
I think the word betting has this stigma behind it. People are like associating as like gambling. Gambling is not a good thing that people look at anyways, so I can see it happening. But yeah, this was pretty much prediction markets this week. It was pretty fun, pretty wild. You can pick whichever one you want to use. Now, into our last story.
It's all
Taxes.
Yeah. So I'll jump in here. Taxes on crypto. There's a lot of countries right now coming and making shifts. So one of the ones that was announced recently was Japan. Japan's going to cut their crypto tax from 55% down to 20%, which is massive for a country
Yeah.
that largely hasn't been a big talk about crypto. Like when you talk about crypto, I don't hear Japan too often
You know,
out
funny
there, but
enough, Japan is pretty established. Like they've been pretty ahead on adopting crypto compared to the rest of the world. So it's kind of interesting.
yeah, interesting. This is way too high, but overall sentiment's really, really good. The other country that is also doing it beyond Japan is Thailand. They're going to offer 0% capital gains tax on Bitcoin traded
Wow.
in national exchanges. There's a little bit more caveats on the Thailand stuff than just overarching like flat tax on any like crypto gains, like Japan 20% versus the 55. But it's a sign. It's also a move by these countries to try to push innovation and people to those countries. If you've got a 0% tax on Bitcoin, like I could see a bunch of companies going and mining in Thailand, going and setting up crypto reserves and buying and selling in Thailand over other countries. The same thing with the Japan. Like I could see that pushing. There is also a really big rumor happening right now on Twitter, just around President Trump talking about 0% tax on cryptocurrencies. This has been tossed around a few times about users not paying or any capital gains tax on crypto in the past in any U.S. based exchange, but it's starting to pick up steam again, especially as these other countries around the world are trying to stay competitive with the crypto market, while the United States is really deregulating crypto and putting a much more positive tone on the regulatory stance.
I'm honestly excited if it actually comes through where you pay zero taxes on crypto in the US. Oh man, I'm gonna have a field day. It's gonna be amazing.
I
Go
think
ahead.
if the United States adopts a 0% crypto tax on cryptocurrency, it's going to be a massive thing. I could see a lot more people coming to the United States to do crypto if they're allowed in, or if they can get visas, or if they can buy their way in. That's going to be a huge thing. The benefit, too, is just there's going to be a lot more capital thrown around. If you're able to
Yeah.
go spend on crypto and do stuff in crypto and not have capital gains, you're going to have a huge, huge opportunity to make an investment and do it all in crypto and then not have any capital gains on it. Like I think the benefit of no tax on crypto is going to be crazy, and I could see it more of a layered system. Like, hey, after this much money, you do have to pay some sort of tax, or if you
Yeah.
have less than $300,000 in capital gains, you get 0%, and then after that, or if you make less than XYZ, in a year, you won't pay capital gains, just because the government they'll hunt their money down. But I think it's going to be a net positive for the crypto industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think taxes need to be more fair for lower incomes. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens. A lot could happen, so who knows? We'll keep you covered on everything that develops. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we had to cover this week for Social Ledger Report. Thanks for watching. Give it a like, subscribe to the channels. It costs you nothing. It supports us. It keeps us going. It literally keeps the lights on. Dislike it if you dislike it. Give it a like if you liked it. Share it around. See you next week.